Watching News at Prime, let's bring you this conversation now. The African National Congress says councillor candidates, these are hopefuls with no matric qualification and relevant experience, will not be considered, outlining the minimum criteria that members must meet to qualify for seats in municipal councils across the country. The party says at least 70% of the candidates for municipal elections must have prior experience in government. Let's get a little bit more now of what came out of that media briefing today that was addressed by the ANC's Electoral Committee. Its secretary is Chief Livhuwani Matsila. He sits with me in studio tonight. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Can I kick off the conversation in this way? What are you going to do with the councillors who currently sit in municipalities? They don't have a matric and they probably don't have much experience in government. What's going to be done with those people?
Yes, I think the rules are clear that those without matric qualifications and without experience will not be allowed to stand for nomination or election this time around. This is the deliberate decision by the NEC trying to improve the capacity and credibility of those that are going to be fielded as councillors of the ANC at what levels.
Do you have an audit of how many ANC councillors that currently sit in councils and do not have the requisite requirements that we are talking about here and now?
No, we don't have an audit per se. Remember, this is a new process altogether that is going to open a new chapter in 2026, where communities are going to look at those that have got qualifications, a matric in this particular case. So I think it's a new chapter altogether, but we have not done an audit per se. But I think in the 2021 guidelines, we did emphasize that matric qualification is a necessity, but it was not as compulsory as it is now. And that means that most of the councillors we have now would have matric as qualification.
We'll talk about what has precipitated this. What is it that is behind this decision? But before we get there, are you not worried that you are opening up a completely new chapter that is now going to be targeted at those who have matric, in all probability have a tertiary qualification, who are going to be targets, as in assassination, targets of assassinations by those who say, okay, our party is basically abandoning us because we don't have a formal education, and therefore you're going to exacerbate political killings. That's simply the essence of my question. Are you not worried?
No, we are not worried at all at this stage, because the pool of those who have got matric out there is quite excessive. We've got quite a number of people who are in the communities who are working as activists on the ground with matric and higher qualifications, as you are saying. So for anybody to try and say that they can eliminate people, it could mean that they want to engage in a massacre, and that's not going to be possible. So you don't have like it's not a rare skill or rare qualification to have matric out there. It's just that we must find the right people with the right attitude towards communities who have got that qualification and other skills to be deployed as councillors.
Okay, so very quickly, therefore, what's precipitated this kind of decision from the ANC? What is at issue?
I think as we review the performance of the ANC at the level of municipalities, we realize that there's a capacity challenge in terms of those who are councillors. And the issue is that you have to have people who are able to read and understand very technical documents, the financial statements of the municipalities, the various reports, the policies, and that requires an advanced level of literacy. So if you have people who can't read at all, they are challenged and compromised in terms of their own understanding. When we pass a bill or a policy at that level, you get people who must understand, not people who just raise hands because everybody is saying that let's support it because it's sponsored by the ANC.
Yeah, and I asked that question deliberately because someone sitting at home is saying, why are you asking rhetorical questions? This should be a standard. Why has it taken the party this long to wake up to this?
It's a learning curve. We have learned from our previous experiences. We've seen that if we don't improve and change the criteria, we may not be able to deploy the best amongst those who are available to be nominated by our communities. And our communities have also raised concerns around the quality of some of the councillors we have had in the past.
Yeah.
So we've taken that on board, and all the recommendations are now processed by the National Executive Committee. It's a listening organization.
Finally, we're not keeping you too long. Let's then conclude the conversation. You only, though, are going to announce your candidates in February next year. Other political parties have already announced their mayoral candidates. Why the delay?
Remember, the ANC is a consultative organization in nature. And that's why we've got elaborate processes on how we select and nominate candidates. Other parties make it easier for them because 2 or 3 people sit around the corner and they say, we're going to get Xoli as a mayor. It has happened. They announce you and people clap hands. But the ANC is a process-driven organization. The decision of the NEC is that by the end of the year, they will announce mayoral candidates for the metros and secondary cities. But as and when they are ready, they are going to announce that through the Secretary General. So you should expect that to come soon. Chief
Livhuwani, thank you very much for your time. Chief Livhuwani Matsila, the Secretary of the ANC's Electoral Committee, which addressed the nation today.